We have a full house of speakers, so we're going to talk about the issues and talk about this great building that's going up. I wanted to start by thanking Buffalo Geothermal, which is sponsoring Buffalo Blue Balls food truck. And if anybody wants coffee or snacks, they are at your service, and it's being paid for by Buffalo Geothermal. I'm Bill Nowak. I'm the Executive Director of the New York Geothermal Energy Organization, and we are calling this press conference to call on Governor Cuomo to sign a tax credit bill that he has before him. The state legislature passed this bill by a vote of 201 to 1, so practically unanimous. It was sponsored in the Assembly by Sean Ryan. We want to applaud him for doing that. At this point, New York's greenhouse gas emissions come more from buildings such as this one, if it didn't have geothermal, than they do from generating electricity. And there's a big focus on replacing electricity generation with wind and solar. That's important, but we really need to start taking care of our building stock, and geothermal is the way forward to do that. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand this off to a few speakers here, and then I'll do a little bit of wrap-up at the end. I'd like to start with calling on Bob Shashelski, who is the statewide chair of the Sierra Club Energy Committee, the Atlantic chapter of the Sierra Club, and Bob's going to say a few words here.
Thank you, Bill. I'm Bob Shashelski. I'm a volunteer with the Sierra Club. I represent 40,000 members of the Atlantic chapter, and I'm chair of their Energy Committee. Thank you for the invitation to be here to this new geothermal building, which is being constructed right here in Buffalo on Grant and Potomac. The Sierra Club, through the Atlantic chapter, fully supports geothermal heat pumps. Our organization's goal is to do all we can to limit climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Geothermal heat pumps can contribute greatly to this goal. So 40% of New York State energy is used to heat and cool buildings and homes. Geothermal heat pumps reduce building energy use by some 50% over normal gas or electric heating. We would also like to thank New York Senators Robert Ort and Assemblyperson Sean Ryan for introducing the geothermal heat pump tax credit bill in the last two legislative sessions. As Bill Nowak mentioned, this has passed almost unanimously both sessions. The tax credit would permit the geothermal heat pump industry to develop in New York State, and we urge Governor Cuomo to sign this important piece of legislation by the end of the year. Geothermal heat pumps are an important component of the array of technologies aimed at developing a vibrant, sustainable, and clean energy economy in New York State. It is very good to know that we can all meet our moral obligations to control climate change while simultaneously developing jobs, industry, and economic justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Next, I'd like to call on Chris Ciano from HES Properties. This is Chris's building that's going up here.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. I just want to talk a little bit about the building itself. The building we're putting up is approximately 12,600 square feet. It will have 11 residential apartments and 2,500 square feet of retail space. As Bill mentioned, the CO2 emissions in the United States, 39% come from buildings. So as building developers, we feel an obligation to participate in environmental stewardship. And one of the ways to do that is through heating our building through geothermal. And one of the ways to make geothermal viable is through tax credits. So obviously, geothermal, the upfront costs are a little more expensive than natural gas. So having those tax credits is a big help in order to make the right decision for the environment.
Thank you, Chris. Next, I'd like to call on Larry LaDuca. Larry is with Natali Builders, who has been one of our mainstays and a real leader on converting from fossil fuels in Western New York.
Hello, my name is Larry LaDuca. I'm the Vice President at Natali Builders. We're here to represent and help out anyone we can that's exploring geothermal technology. We're very proud that Chris is doing this in our backyard. Geothermal, as most of you know, is a much healthier technology not just for the residents in the home, but for society as a whole. And we've been doing, Natali Builders has been doing geothermal homes for the last 6 years, and can honestly say it's the best way we know of to protect the environment and the health of our homeowners. So we're a big proponent of it. We'd like to get behind legislation to help make it more cost competitive, along with fossil fuels. In the long run, geothermal saves homeowners 7 to 8 times what it would cost with conventional heat. So it's not only more economical, it's healthier, and for home building and commercial building, it's the way to go. And we're just a big supporter of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. We'd like to ask John Wingfelder to come up, the architect for this building, for a moment.
Hello, good morning. Yeah, I just wanted to say a couple of words about the spirit of this project, which, if it weren't for the commitment of the developers, Cristiano and his brother Matt, this project for them, they knew from the start it was an opportunity to do a high-quality building in an important neighborhood that's trying to rebound and develop the Grant Street neighborhood. And at this point in the resurgence of Buffalo, we're at a time where we have to build buildings of higher quality. And it's not just the design and the materials and what we see, but also in the systems. And so their commitment to doing things like geothermal, a better quality building envelope, give us a high performance product that is also part of that building quality that we need to be really demanding out of our new projects. So we were thankful that the tax incentives are there for them to make that decision that much more viable and that much more feasible and practical. And so that's we're thrilled about the project and happy about the fact that the community in the form of the state is behind us in wanting to do geothermal. Thanks.
Thanks, John. So I wanted to close up just by saying that there are 1,000 jobs, 1,000 New York State jobs, well-paying, family supporting jobs across New York State at this point that are threatened by the withdrawal of the federal tax credit and the fact that the New York State tax credit has not kicked in yet. New York State needs geothermal heating and cooling to meet its greenhouse gas emission goals. And unless this bill is signed by the governor, we're going to go in with a very much weakened contractor base into the process of trying to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions in New York State. Be happy to answer any questions anybody has. Yeah, we'll stand by.
We'll start off with your name and address.
Very good. John?
Almost right. It's okay. Alrighty, Bill, start off with your name. Give us both your first and last name and your title.
I am Bill Nowak. I'm the Executive Director of the New York Geothermal Energy Organization. And we are here today to call on Governor Cuomo to sign the geothermal tax credit bill, which was passed by an overwhelming majority in both houses of the legislature. The issues are jobs, clean energy, and moving forward on cutting down greenhouse gas emissions while saving consumers money on their heating and cooling bills. We all know heating and cooling bills are the bulk of what people pay. Geothermal is a way of feeding back those bills and reducing those bills. The governor has a great chance here to support 1,000 jobs across New York State. We've seen he's been very interested in supporting energy jobs. This is something that he really needs to get behind. At this point in New York State, much more of the greenhouse gases are caused by heating our buildings than by generating electricity. Yet all the focus is on generating electricity. We need this kind of support to move forward, and we're calling on Governor Cuomo to sign the bill.
How ready is this compared to something like solar, which people often think
Sir,
of?
you are looking at a building that's incorporating geothermal heating and cooling. We've got Larry LaDuca here from Natali Builders. Their projects come with geothermal as the default heating and cooling system. It is ready to go. It's been ready to go for a long time. It's a great technology.
It's really not a new system, right?
Not new at all. Not new at all. There are small advances being made all the time, but it's ready to go.
Oh, where's the an existing home?
Sure, there are homes on West Ferry Street. The former chair of the Sierra Club here has her home done in geothermal. There's another one right down the block here, and there's a new business here coming up with it. The Horse Feathers building on Connecticut Street. It's happened.
Sounds like there's
Martin House.
is there an issue in Albany where some of the politicians don't want to back this?
It passed 201 to 1, and we're puzzled by the governor not signing it yet. He's talking about the budget, but he just put forward a $7.6 billion bailout of the nuclear plants. NYSERDA is coming up with a renewable heating and cooling plan, and we know that this should be part of that. These tax credits should be part of that.
So is there a general savings, I guess, that you could quantify?
It really varies from building to building, but it could be a half. You're just paying a small price for the electricity that runs the pumps, as opposed to all the money you would be spending on gas or propane and oil. It's a major savings.
So does a building like this then also have to supplement the geothermal?
Absolutely not. Geothermal stands alone. It can fully cover the heating and cooling of the building.
So the feds have pulled their tax credits, correct?
Well, yes, there were tax credits set up as part of the stimulus package, and last year they extended those for solar, but they left geothermal out. There is a bill before Congress right now that's sponsored by Tom Reed and co-sponsored by Brian Higgins. We're hoping that will pass, but we don't know if it will. Congress is such a mess at this point that we don't know.
So it's really critical that the government
It's absolutely critical. We've got an industry that's gearing out to really help the state meet its greenhouse gas goals, and to cripple that industry at this point makes no sense whatsoever.
All this new construction happening in Buffalo,
Yep.
and I'm sure a fraction of it probably that would even blip on the radar is incorporating this technology.
Well, like I said, Natali Builders has been doing it for 5 years now, and that's a major home builder. In terms of new commercial buildings going up, there are a lot of them that are looking at geothermal, and this is a great example of one.
So how much are the tax credits worth?
Well, the one that we're pushing for in this bill, it is 5%, or it's 25% of the project up to $5,000. It's capped. It's the same thing with solar PV. Nowak. Would you like to speak with any of the other folks that we have here? Bob? The Sierra Club Atlantic chapter.
I'm with the Sierra Club. The Atlantic chapter is back solar power and geothermal and wind and any type of energy that can save greenhouse gas emissions. Geothermal is an important mix to this. We want to thank Senator Robert Ort from Niagara County, and also Assemblyman Sean Ryan here from Buffalo, who have introduced this bill for a tax credit for geothermal heat pumps for the last 2 sessions. We do urge Governor Cuomo to please sign this by the end of the year. It would be an important measure to reduce greenhouse gases and to start a vibrant and growing economy and clean energy in a sustainable community.
Which is easier if I'm energy conscious, environment friendly, and I want to do something? Which would be better return? Which would be easier? Would it be the solar panels on my roof, or would it be outfitting my existing home with this? How easy is it?
I think it would be difficult to compare because each home is different. The problem here is that we do not have the tax credit for geothermal heat pumps. That would obviously bring the cost down if that tax credit was included by the state. Up to 25% of the purchase price up to $5,000. So that will definitely make it more economical. I think basically in many parts of the country, wind and solar are actually cheaper than gas or coal or nuclear at this time. So we are definitely pushing renewables and geothermal heat pumps. They can all reduce emissions and help our economy grow.
I did want to give Larry a chance just to talk about the basics of how geothermal works for your viewers, because that's something that not a lot of people understand. So this is Larry LaDuca, Vice President of Natali Builders.
So the principles of geothermal are actually really simple, and they work perfect in Buffalo, just like solar and wind. We've done all three technologies for homes, and out of the three, geothermal brings the greatest return because you're taking advantage of the Earth's natural temperature 8 feet down at 55 degrees. The building behind us has 9, I believe, wells at over 200 feet, about 250 feet. That's grabbing the Earth's temperature at 55 degrees as an energy source. It literally just brings it up in a pipe. It's a very simple technology. Runs it through a condenser and a compressor, turning that 55 degree temperature into either heat or cooling. Very similar to the back of a refrigerator when you see those coils. That's an air system. This is a ground source heat pump. And the Earth's temperature at our latitude is an energy source. The geothermal just takes advantage of that. So that's where it needs a little help with the education and explanation of how it works, so that the layman and us in the home building industry have to explain that to people. When they do, we get a conversion rate of about 70 to 80% of our clients now build new with geothermal with the Natali Builders.
How much of an extra cost is that to a home? An initial upfront cost, and then what's the payback period?
The initial upfront cost for geothermal is approximately $20,000 to $25,000, but with the federal and state rebates that are in place, it ends up being a $6,000 premium over a conventional HVAC. That's why we're fighting to keep that balance together. That $6,000 premium, if you consider not having a gas bill for the next 25 years in Buffalo, that's a pretty significant savings. So that $6,000 is really meaningless after the 4th or 5th year you're in the home.
And so there's an existing tax credit that is being extended with this bill that the governor has signed, or what?
Yes, the federal government had a 30% tax credit for solar and geo. Only the solar credit got extended, which was strange to all of us. And Bill and Jens and everybody here were just curious for why when it passed almost unanimously. It's a great technology. It employs thousands of people. And it's the best thing to prevent greenhouse gas, which is why I think the Sierra Club members are here, and people like that.
You're talking about the federal?
Yes, the federal 30% expires December 31st of this year, and the state of New York has a chance to do a $5,000 credit to help with new technology and help homeowners understand that this is the right way to go. It's a subsidy that, just like with gas houses, there's a subsidy in place that helps people afford efficient gas. This is to help you afford efficient geothermal.
So the state didn't have a tax credit up until now, correct? I mean, there isn't one in place, and this would just...
No, they had a very vague one that was basically termed if your house is heated or cooled with solar, and it was about energy production, as Bill mentioned. But really, geothermal, the earth is warmed by the sun. Everything about geothermal is solar. That's the rub, right? The earth, it's not heated with magma heat. It's heated with solar radiant heat. That's what keeps the earth warm. So it's kind of a silly thing that people that just aren't educated on how geothermal works don't understand the principle. It really is a solar operated system. It wouldn't work without the sun.
Just technically, how far down did you say you have to go, and it's like bedrock
After
an
8
issue?
feet, the Earth stays 55 degrees approximately at our latitude 12 months a year. So in the summer, on a hot day like today when it's 80, you have a huge differential. You're bringing your temperature from the ground 55 up. The system works in reverse. So you're bringing cooler condensed water in a pipe into a compressor that's helping cool your house almost free, because the ground doesn't charge you, right? So in the summer or in the winter when it's 0 degrees out, your gas furnace has to take 0 degree air and heat it up 70 degrees. Well, if you're starting at 55 degrees with the geosystem, you have a huge advantage. Your delta is only 15 degrees to go from 55 to 70, right? So it's much more efficient.
So you put tanks down. You
drill down. It's just water and a little bit of a liquid that keeps it from freezing, and that water in this polyethylene pipe has a 50-year warranty underground, because nothing can happen down there. It's underground. It's really simple.
Installed now? Are there, do you see
I
the
think
pipe?
Chris has it, and
Yes.
Chris can explain where it is in his building.
Thank you.
And how many homes have you built? You've been doing this
We've built a little over 100 homes with geothermal, so we're very comfortable with it, and our homeowners love it. Yeah.
Can you take this inside?
If I can, yes, we can go quickly into the mechanical room. If you just want to follow me, I'll show you. Please run to the
Yeah.
So there are 9 wells under the building. Each well bores 225 feet. And then those individual wells are connected into a loop. And you can see where this loop comes up out of the ground. And then the loop will then circulate to each one of the individual apartments. And each individual apartment will have its own heat pump and thermostat, so the tenant can regulate their own temperature. But it's all
Incredible. And so you still need a furnace though, right?
No. Basically what you're using is the condenser and the heat pump. But there is no furnace, there is no natural gas use at all. It's all just electricity running the pumps and the condenser. So it's a significant savings.
How does it cool? How does it do air conditioning?
In the same way, I guess the closest comparison, and I'm not a Geo guy, but the closest comparison I can make is to your refrigerator. And that the refrigerator is essentially using air system to basically cool and condense the air inside the refrigerator. It's a similar thing, but here we're using the ground to essentially, what they're really doing is taking heat out of the air and pumping, basically, they're using the Earth's thermal mass to cool that water and bring it back up. And then what happens when the water comes up into the apartments, there is a blower that basically blows air over that cooled or heated water. So to the tenant, it's going to appear like a forced air system, but we're heating with Geo instead of natural. Chris Ciano, S-I-A-N-O. HES Properties. I'm one of the members.
So, I guess why did you decide to go with this technology here at this project in Main Street?
We priced natural gas, traditional natural gas, so we would have had to do 11 furnaces, 11 AC condensers on the roof, as well as 11 on-demand heating systems. And when you compare that to a single Geo system for the entire building, the cost spread was about 25% more for the Geo system. But there were a lot of incentive stuff. There was the tax credits, there was the accelerated depreciation, as well as the savings on natural gas. If you look at just the savings to heat 11 apartments and 2,500 square feet of commercial space, we're going to recoup that difference in 5 years, and then all of that savings after 5 years is money we're building owner saving. So over a 30-year time horizon, it was really a no-brainer.
Can you go over and just explain what all this is?
I don't want to misspeak because I'm not the Geo contractor, but essentially what we're seeing here are there are 9 Geo wells in the ground, and they connect to essentially 2 loops. So you can see these 3 pipes are connected as a single loop, and those 3 pipes are connected as a single loop. So what we're just seeing here is basically the wells where the water is going to be circulated down into the earth and then come back out here, which will then go up to the individual apartments, which have condensers, I believe, in each individual apartment.
So 3 of the pipes are heading out and 3 of the pipes are heading back. It's a loop.
Maybe we should get Jens in here to talk a little more about that.
We're good.
Okay, great.
Thanks so much for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.